I think for us on this call, digital twins should be the next step, really. In its simplest form, a digital twin is a virtual copy of something in the real world. What defines it is data and the flow of information in a circuit. So information about how something is behaving or what condition it is in is collected from the real world, and it is organized in the context of the virtual copy of it. So information is organized contextually with a model. That model doesn't have to be a beautiful BIM model. It can be quite a simple thing, as long as the model serves the purpose of providing the context of the data. But the important characteristic of a twin is that it's not just a mimic of real world, but it actually helps to inform what we do in return back to the real world. So it needs to be a two-way process. So at its climax, a digital twin would be something that is almost autonomous. It has a brain of its own. It's able to understand its environment, and using all kinds of technology and science that I think we're still trying to develop, it should be able to make its own decisions, the so-called artificial intelligence. But there's always a sliding scale to everything. So in some senses, a digital twin could be as simple as a BIM model that is used to inform an operations and maintenance team how to spend their budget most efficiently.
Rich.
Yep.
So just touching on that point, and I think sometimes people always think about digital twins as that final as-built stage, and I'm not going to use that in my facilities management and taking things forward. However, do you feel in the same concept, a digital twin in the construction side could be that model that's been designed, that's been released to construction, that's now being taken through a 4D simulation to show digitally how the construction process should be taking place? Isn't that also another definition or another viewpoint on a digital twin?
I agree with that, because it's a work in progress. It originates in the design phase, or even before that. When the investor wants to develop a building or get that rate of return on investment, and during the construction, there's various sensors and processes that happen that gives you that digital feedback of what's happening in reality on the project, remotely, on site, physically, and you can then spin it off into certification, blockchain, all those kind of things. But
there was an amazing article where a professor in I can't remember which university it was talking about the fact that just like twins are born at the same time. Yes. You don't have a twin that comes out and then its twin arrives 10 years later. Twins are born at the same time. The virtual copy starts its life as an idea, just like a project starts as an idea. And as the design and construction grow through childhood, essentially, and reach that age of leaving the house when they are commissioned, they start a life together. So the whole idea of a digital twin actually started in the manufacturing space. The term itself was coined by Professor Michael Greaves. He's one of the professors in product lifecycle management, and his thesis was basically that if you could create a digital copy of a product, you would have a much better way to manage the condition of that product throughout its entire life cycle, from design and prototyping all the way through to disposal at the end. Yeah. So for us in construction and the built environment, we're basically trying to borrow an idea of a product, but now we're not looking at a kettle or an airplane. We're looking at a building or a bridge or a power system. But the principle is the same. And I think everything we've said into this evening's conversation, I'm sort of feeling happy, because we're pointing in the right direction. We get the fact that we've got to bring the tail right to the front. We've, like Andrew was saying, we've got to bring the end thought right to the inception. We've got to take that, and as an industry, it's almost like we're all foster parents of these twins, and we've all got to gather around and take care of this little baby idea all the way through, and we all see the future and how this is going to reach maturity and how it's going to behave and live and exist. And our job in the design and construction phase is to bring that to maturity, and then we hand it over, and it joins a new family in the operations space. And that idea of it having a life, I think, is crucial. It means that it's not just something that we start and then we stop and then another one starts and stops. It's the same thing, the same idea, the same model, the same set of data that grows and eventually ends its life at decommissioning. But, and here's the other big but, if we take a further step back, we start seeing the systems view where ultimately everything will connect to everything else. And that's essentially the whole purpose behind digital. So let's take a water treatment works, for example. So many different systems connect at a water treatment works, and it forms part of a massive big system of water balance, which forms part of all kinds of other domains like agriculture and sanitation. So as we start understanding how to integrate systems and use systems engineering to coordinate these different domains, we move towards this concept of a mirror world where truly we could have every aspect of civilization and its infrastructure that is traceable, trackable, integrated. And obviously that can go horribly pear-shaped and big brotherish, but that's the challenge, is how to use the technology and its inevitable endpoint in a responsible way.